Oh, shit, yeah, we in the game now. We in the game now.
This truly is one of the best
Matter of
times of
fact,
year to purchase a vehicle. Sure, we can offer gimmick.
my bad, go. Let me throw the line up, man. We got to throw the line up. 757-349-6242. I want to hear from you, man. Oh, Tzsyu, Brian Mendoza. Hey, it's going down tonight. It's gonna be a tough one. I like this fight, bro. I like this fight. Definitely want to hear from you, man. Get with me. Call the show. Tell me your thoughts on this one. I gotta give y'all my prediction. And I think you probably already know who I like in this fight. But I ain't gonna front. This feels like it might be a little closer than what I think. We're gonna be pleasantly surprised in how competitive this fight might be tonight, man. We might be thrown off guard on how competitive this fight might be tonight, man. Now, I know Tzsyu and Brian Mendoza ain't on a lot of people's radar. They just not. I get it. But I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised on how competitive this fight might be tonight. Now, I know y'all saying this. Listen, man, you said the same shit about Spence and Crawford. Listen, now, we thought that was 50-50. I don't believe this fight to be 50-50. I would say more 60-40 for Tzsyu. But I do think this is going to be a war. According to Brian Mendoza, he say once he get in there, he going to flip that switch. And then it's going to be all out war. Then what was crazy is they asked him about the power. You know, if he felt like Tzsyu had more power. He said, nah, man, he's the bigger puncher. And Tzsyu ain't got that real one-punch knockout power. But Brian Mendoza does. At least that's, how he feels. And we seen, and I ain't got it queued up. I wish I had it queued up. We seen what he was able to do to Fundora when he chopped that tree down, right? That's interesting enough in itself to give Mendoza a serious puncher's chance. Why? Because we haven't seen Tzsyu chin get tested. Now, Mendoza does have 2 losses, right? Jesus Ramos and a Larry Gomez. I believe Gomez, that was back in like 19. Ramos, who just recently lost to Erickson Lubin in what many believe to be a robbery. I wouldn't quite say it was a robbery, but depending on what styles you liked, I wasn't mad if you liked Ramos' style a little bit better than Erickson Lubin's style in that fight. I thought, me being honest, I thought Ramos did enough to get that win. But Ramos is someone who has defeated Brian Mendoza. Mendoza only has 2 losses. What up? Mick Tabor in in the chat. What up, Mick? Mark Wynn in the building. Shout out my guy, man. My RC family. Mark Wynn in the building. Says, I hope it's a great fight. But you know who I got, man. Tzsyu, round 9 stoppage. Ooh, bold prediction. I like it. Man. I like it. I got the phone lines open too, man. If you want to call and give me some details, Mark Wynn, 757-349-6242. I don't know if you can internationally call, but I would love to hear from you if you can. I like that. I like that prediction. But those are only 2 losses for Brian Mendoza. He's won 3 in a row now. He's never been knocked out. And Tzsyu, we looking at the phenomenal stoppages he just recently gave us with an Ocampo in the first round. Tony Harrison prior to that. But again, Brian Mendoza said he doesn't have that one-punch KO power, which Mendoza possesses. We got to be real. He does. Yeah, he's got some dynamite. Both of them do. Oh, man. You got to give Mendoza a real puncher's chance. And listen, I not only is he a big puncher, I think he's a boxer puncher. Like I said, you have to give him a lot of credit for being able to set up that left hook on a Fundora, somebody who again I feel like, and a lot of people feel like, was the cheat code. Tall, crazy range, crazy reach. You had to have some IQ to really set up that shot. And prior to that fight, he said, "Hey, listen, man, I see a lot of holes in Fundora's defense, and if I can set up the right shot," which he did, it was beautiful, right? That doesn't happen without some serious ring IQ from a Brian Mendoza. So it'll be interesting to see, if he's able to set up some traps for a Tzsyu, who, for the most part, we believe, given his style and majority of his past fights, Tzsyu's on the gas, man. As soon as the bell rings, he's stepping. He's coming forward. He's going to be fighting on the front foot for the most part. If he doesn't, that would, I think, baffle most of us, because we think we know what Tzsyu is going to do in this fight, what he normally does, and that's just press forward on the front foot and release, some big shots. And to me, it's almost like, can Brian Mendoza handle the pressure? Will he systematically be broken down by Tzsyu, right? Will the pressure break Mendoza down round after round? How does he box off the back foot? And if he does, is he going to be able to set those traps like he did for Fundora? Or will Tzsyu, which I like to give Tzsyu a lot of credit, because I also think he's a thinker, right? He's just an extremely aggressive thinker. He's a front foot thinker, which I like to call. Just because you pressing forward doesn't mean you don't have IQ. It just means you got IQ behind your power for certain fighters. You know what I mean? I don't like to categorize Tzsyu as a brawler. I think the guy is very, very smart upstairs. I think the repertoire is diverse with Tzsyu. You feel me? But man, this is gonna be a good one, man. This is gonna be a good one. Again, like I said about Tzsyu not feeling like a champion, he says with this fight right here, once this fight is done with Mendoza, then he would feel like a champion. So you gotta, again, you gotta credit his character with that one, man. So many reasons to like Tzsyu. Not only the size, the power, and everything that makes him, such a really good fighter right now, but the character of the fighter as well. I always think that plays a big part in selling these fighters. So man, you got to give him a lot of credit for that, for having that mentality, but also the mentality of the underdog and a Brian Mendoza, somebody who's continuously been counted out since, taking that last L to Ramos. They counted him out against Fundora. Nobody gave him a chance against Fundora. And I got to be honest, I picked him to lose that fight as well. I didn't publicly say it, but, I felt like Fundora would have got past a Brian Mendoza. And that was the second time, I messed up on Brian Mendoza. So, you mess up so many times, you start to pay attention like, all right, well, listen, you can't really count this guy out. And I'm definitely not counting him out in this fight. But again, when I look at Tzsyu, I'm like, man, it's a lot of things that he does very, very well, but he hasn't seen or faced any kind of adversity. We really can't talk about what the chin is like because we haven't seen him really get caught with anything big. Now, the question is, can Brian Mendoza present some adversity for Tzsyu? And what does that look like, right? What does that adversity for Tzsyu look like? All right? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we want to see from the champions, right? We want to see them dig down deep, maybe come up off the floor or take some really, really good shots, take them well. You want to see all of the elements from your champion, man. You want to see some of those questions get answered. You know what I mean? I would like to see that. I would also like to see the same thing about Brian Mendoza. Now, even though he lost a unanimous decision to Ramos, I believe it was, and maybe a split decision to Larry Gomez. But again, nobody ever really rocked Mendoza. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't been knocked out. If Tim Tzsyu is able to do this, I think that's another huge statement from Tim Tzsyu. But I do believe Mendoza got the dynamite to maybe cause some adversity in his fight for Tim Tzsyu. Shout out Flawless Mentality. Oh man, Uncle Mark in the chat say salute to the guy heavy bag boxing, man. I appreciate you, my brother of Elevation Fam and the gods and beautiful goddesses of all of the always solid heavy bag family. I appreciate you. Salute Flawless Mentality, man. Y'all check my man out. Tell me who you got in this fight, bro, while you here. I would love to know who you got. Tim Tzsyu, Brian Mendoza. It's going down tonight. Showtime. Very curious to hear what you got to say about that, now, like I say, man, Mendoza, underdog again. I think, like Tim Tzsyu said, and I think Tim Tzsyu actually said it the best. He feels like Mendoza is thriving off that underdog mentality, and I think so as well. I think it's serving him very, very well, because it gives you that feeling like, it gives you that I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just let it all hang out, right? The pressure is really on Tim Tzsyu to perform. He's the newly crowned 54 WBO champion. Even though he doesn't feel like a champion, he is. This is technically his very first title defense, right? So it's really on Tim Tzsyu. Because, of course, if he doesn't win this fight or he doesn't look good in this fight or somehow there's some controversy behind this fight, then people will say, hey, look, see, I told you Tim Tzsyu just wasn't that guy. Like, he doesn't deserve to be champion. You know what I mean? He's an email champion for real. Look what Mendoza was able to do. Those questions will get answered, you know what I mean? Or asked, I should say. So it's important that he does come into this fight and look halfway good. He can't allow Mendoza to come in here and disrupt his flow, especially, again, having so many, great performances in a row now, stringing along so many great performances. But I do believe Tim Tzsyu when he says he looks at Mendoza as that top 1% as well. Man, it's gonna be great to see, man. It's great to see. Tyree Celestine in the building. He said the underdog might come out on top. It's hey, man. Hey. Oh, man, my guy, Tyree Celestine. I ain't even got my music queued up, man. Dropping that bread on your boy, man. Big $5 in the super chat, man, from my guy, Tyree Celestine. I'm sorry, I ain't got my money drop queued up. I had to redo my whole scene, man. But shout out to my guy, Tyree Celestine, longtime follower of the channel, man. I really, really appreciate you, man, for sure. You know what I mean? You already know. Flawless Mentality say, Mendoza by KO. Wow. Celestine, you might need to come through too, bro, and let me know your prediction as well. I want to know exactly how you got this one going. Flawless Mentality, Uncle Mark say Mendoza by KO. Now, I got to be real, Unc. That's the first Mendoza by KO prediction that I have seen, man. For sure. Celestine, you already know, man. Big love. I haven't seen anybody else pick Mendoza by KO, bro. So you in the league by yourself right now. And listen, I ain't gonna front. It's not like it can't happen. It's most definitely not like it can't happen. Again, we seen the KO versus a Fundora. Mendoza has the ability to box. I like to say he's a boxer puncher. All right, he can fight really well off the back foot. I do believe he can provide some adversity for Tim Tzsyu. It's going to be interesting, especially I want to say, like, if depending on how fast Tim Tzsyu starts out, and Mendoza, and nobody's rocked or hurt, or this fight isn't over with, because this fight could very well be over with in 2 or 3, to be honest, maybe even the first round. Both of them got that kind of dynamite, but it would be interesting to see if this fight actually gets through, 5, 6, or even maybe 7, 8, 9, mentally where Tzsyu and Brian Mendoza is at that point. Does anybody's style switch? You know what I'm saying? Will Mendoza somehow come on the front foot? Will we finally see Tzsyu get backed up and ease off the gas pedal a little bit? Maybe get some different directions from his corner, his team, to kind of box Mendoza. Oh man, it's so many different elements that can happen in this fight. What we got in the chat? He said, "Okay, Mick Tabor." He said, "How are you?" He's speaking of Flawless. What up? Yeah, so many things that can happen in this fight, man. Again, phone line is open. Y'all go ahead and give me a call, man, if you would like to tell me how you feel this fight is gonna go. 757-349-6242. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get into my prediction, right? Since we ain't got no phone calls just yet. And again, if you want to call in, if you want to tell me what you think is gonna happen in this fight, definitely go ahead and give me a ring. Would love to hear from you. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what I think is gonna happen in this fight. I think Tzsyu comes out blazing, right? Stepping out the gate. I don't know how much he's gonna feel. Okay, as soon as I want to start giving y'all one, here we go. We got a call coming in. What up? Heavy Bad Boxing TV. State your name, gangster.
Tyree Celestine.
Oh, Celestine in the building, my guy.
What's
God. What's up, bro?
Calling.
Word, my man. Appreciate you calling this show, man. What you got for us, man?
Sir.
Tzsyu, Brian Mendoza. Tell us your fight prediction, bro.
Man, this gonna be crazy, bro. It's gonna be, I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna be crazy, bro.
It is, man.
That boy powerful, aggressive. Brian Mendoza, bro. This is about to be crazy, bro.
Be a good one tonight,
I
bro.
think the underdog hungry though, man. Like he hungry.
Yeah.
Like this man, he think he deserved to be at the top. Tzsyu don't feel like he deserved to be at the top right now. Even though he's probably hungry, man, that boy, Brian, hungry. I don't think he going in out with an L, man. At least not no easy L.
Okay,
Not no easy L, bro.
So tell me how you see it.
Okay, I think it's going to be like, you know how that Brian fought that tall dude, how he knocked him off that little KO?
Yeah, Fundora, Sebastian Fundora.
Yeah, okay. So it's going to go like how that went, like, but not like the knockout part. It's going to go like that, and at the end, it's going to come out to who the bigger dog at the end, who wanted the most. And I think Brian Mendoza going to come out on top, bro.
Okay, so you think it goes the distance, all 12 rounds?
Yeah, but I think he gonna be the one to take the thing to home stretch, man. I don't know.
So you think Mendoza wins this fight by a split decision?
Yeah, bro. Either that or a knockout, man. He hungry, bro. He just hungry. I don't know, man. I feel him. I really feel him, bro.
Okay, all right. I can dig it, man. Listen, man, I'm not mad at the prediction. Brian Mendoza does have a lot of dynamite. I do think he's got a really high boxing IQ. I think he's gotten better. You know what I'm saying? If we've been paying attention to Brian Mendoza, especially over his last 3 fights, coming off that loss to Tzsyu Ramos, he's gotten a lot better, man. He's been working very well behind the jab. He said he had been working on his power punching. He believes he got more power than Tzsyu. He does have that one punch knockout power, which he says Tzsyu doesn't have. And Tzsyu's got to be weary of that power throughout this fight.
Exactly.
Right? So when he's coming in on that front foot, he's got to be aware that, hey, Brian can unleash something that could really maybe hurt me. Right? Because we haven't seen Tzsyu hurt. We haven't seen that chin get tested, and Brian Mendoza could very well test that chin.
Right. Well, you right, man. You're so right, bro.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know, because also that boy Tim Tszyu, he's smart, man. So I don't think he getting in there as easy as he did, man, with the other dude. Like,
Yeah.
he got to be on his P's, man. P's and Q's with this dude.
He do.
Because if
He
not,
do.
that man gonna pick him apart, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Brian Mendoza, he remind me of Crawford, like when he was coming up, because how hungry he is right now. Like, not in the
Yeah.
L part, because he took a L, but
Yeah.
he hungry, man. He hungry. And I
Yeah,
kind of wish that would have worked out for Arrow, like how he was so hungry and he came back and he gave the fight a good one, and then he got the rematch and it came out on top of the rematch.
Right.
But I don't know, man.
Man, yeah. Hey, listen, man. I feel you, man. Like, cause to me, it sounds like you most definitely not overlooking or looking past Brian Mendoza. You know, if you're Tim Tszyu, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
And I respect that. I think it would be crazy for anybody to be looking through or past Brian Mendoza in this fight. Like I said, I highlighted his attributes, and I think again, if he didn't possess that kind of power that he does, it would be a different story. But he really truly possesses some real power, and again, he could cause some adversity for Tim Tszyu. So I gotta agree with you, man, that he can't. You know what I mean? Anything could happen in this one. But it sounds like you taking Mendoza in this one because you feel like he's just extremely hungry, and Tim Tszyu, might not be able to get him out of there. And if it goes the distance, you feel like they'll give it to Mendoza.
Right. But
and that's a good point
man,
too.
Look,
go ahead.
Yeah, but man, I don't know, man. Is it? I've been back and forth bad. Like, I just been trying to break these guys down, watching their stuff on YouTube. And it's really hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah, man.
You could come out too, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely. But I like what you said too, though, because I think Tim Tszyu's a hell of a boxer, but who if you saying who has the better footwork? Because a lot of the times when you have the better footwork, you will have the edge in the actual boxing. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
I think
Tim
Mendoza
Tszyu might got it.
Go ahead.
Tim Tszyu probably a little bit. I didn't really see a lot from Brian, like that good footwork. I don't know. I might be.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I thought Brian Mendoza footwork against that cheat code in Fundora, I thought it was pretty excellent, and I thought the footwork was important to set up that left hand that really rocked Fundora. You know what I'm saying?
You right. That little bit. Yeah, you right, man.
Yeah,
Hold on,
absolutely.
You right on that one. Yes, sir.
I would honestly have to say, coming into this fight, I would lean towards Mendoza having a little bit better footwork than a Tim Tszyu. And that's not to say that Tim footwork isn't better. It's just that we haven't really got to see but one side of Tim Tszyu. Now, as long as I've been following Tim Tszyu, I haven't seen him yet in there with somebody who's a real power puncher that Tim had to be kind of weary of and kind of distracted him or detracted him from coming straight forward. So, I don't know if that's a lack of footwork, but I think Mendoza's footwork, which we've gotten to see on display a few times now, especially in this fight, and even Jesus Ramos, not bad footwork. And it's really good to position some of these big shots that he's able to get off, like against a Fundora. So it'll be interesting to see, who will have the better footwork tonight for sure.
But I don't know, because also Tim Tszyu, I think this man, he really morphs into who he needs to be to whoever he's fighting. So I don't think he needed to use as much with these other guys because he got him out of there. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. But
yeah. So
since he can't get this dude out of there like that, then he might end up having to use that footwork like we discussed. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things, like when you get fighters like a Tim Tszyu, man, who's so good in their, in their style of fighting, when you finally run into somebody who, you can't hurt and you can't hit and touch every 5 seconds, and that frustration kind of builds up. And then at that point, you need to go to plan B. You got to change something up. How
Right.
does he adjust? You know what I'm saying? And this is some of the things I feel like Brian Mendoza could potentially cause tonight. He could potentially cause Tim Tzsyu to have to make some kind of adjustments. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing if that actually happens. And the same thing for Mendoza.
Right. Exactly, bruh. Exactly. So who you going for then?
Well, that's what I was about to get into. I can I'll tell you
Yeah,
what I got you up here,
I'm
man.
gonna watch that. Yeah, I'm gonna watch. See what you going. Cause I heard you say call, and I was like, okay, boom.
Okay,
Yeah.
word. I appreciate, man. Listen, man, you already know, bro. I appreciate you, big dog, for
Yes,
supporting
sir.
the
You
channel
too.
the way you do, man. Shout out to my guy Tyree Celestine calling in, letting us know he's taking Mendoza. If anybody else taking Mendoza, I definitely want to hear from y'all as well. Tyree, I appreciate you, God, my guy.
All right, Big T.O.
All right, my man. All right, man. Y'all call in. If you taking Mendoza, I definitely want to hear from you. But if you taking Tzsyu, I want to know why. You know what I mean? Now, I'm going to get into my prediction. Now, like I was about to say, man, I think Tim Tzsyu is going to come out in this fight like he always does, front foot stepping. I think he wants to try and test Brian Mendoza early. If Tim can get him out of there early, he will, just like he did Ocampo. See what that chin is about. But if he can, I don't think he changes the course. But I do believe his style systematically breaks Mendoza down over this time. I think Tim Tzsyu probably has a better IQ than most are probably giving him credit for, because a lot of the times when you see the style of a Tim Tzsyu, you don't want to give him a lot of credit because, again, he's just kind of coming forward. Not a lot of, you feel like it's not a lot of thought in the process. And I want to give him more credit in that, right? Especially the shot that he was able to land against Ocampo, especially being in there with a real thinker like a Tony Harrison. Like I say, Tony Harrison, the only other man other than Canelo to beat Jermell Charlo and take his scrap. Harrison was a thinker. I always felt like the IQ of Tony Harrison was crazy, through the roof. And I want to say that was the 7th or 8th round. If you guys can remember, put it in the chat where he got the stoppage against Tony Harrison, but he was able to put together a series of combination punching in that fight. And of course, some big shots that really got Harrison in trouble. I want to say the 7th or the 8th round. That took a lot of IQ. You know what I'm saying? To me, that was one of the real tests. Now, even though I feel like at the time, Tony Harrison was a bit over the hill, and Tim was just a younger, bigger, stronger fighter, I knew that he had those advantages and it will probably get him past Tony Harrison. Here you have somebody in a 29-year-old, only a year older than Tim Tzsyu, and a Brian Mendoza. But I want to give Tim Tzsyu the credit for the IQ, you know what I mean? And I think that's going to play a part. I think he'll be able to adjust if anything, changes in the fight from his original game plan, which is more than likely to walk Brian Mendoza down and cut off the ring. I don't see this fight going the distance. I'm going to have to take Tim Tzsyu, and I think it ends kind of early. I'm going to say Tim Tzsyu, 7th round stoppage. That's who I'm taking. All right? I'm taking Tim Tzsyu in the 7th round, TKO. I think he stops him in the 7th. Now, if you've been watching the channel and you've been paying attention, boy, I'm about betting 1,000 this year. You know what I mean? The only fight I've gotten wrong so far this year that I publicly said was the NUA Stephen Fulton fight. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. That was a wash. But outside of that, everything else that I've said on the channel publicly, I'm betting 1,000. You know what I mean? Just putting that out there. I'm putting that out there just in case you want to hit up FanDuel tonight. I got you. You know what I mean? And you know what's crazy though for Tim Tszyu, if he's able to get past Brian Mendoza, I really think sky's the limit, bro. When you really think about it, it sets up a lot of shit. First of all, you know, it definitely builds that confidence in Tim Tszyu. He'll really feel like the 54 WBO champion. But then when you look around, man, you got Errol Spence, you got Terrence Crawford, you know, maybe a showdown when you finally get your hands on Jermell Charlo. And I do believe he's that good to create some classics with any of these guys. But man, 54 is looking mad. It's looking good right now, bro. 54 is looking real good right now. And I forget all about Danny Garcia, bro. You know what I mean? Danny Garcia's in 54. Now, I know a lot of y'all feel like, man, Danny Garcia irrelevant these days. Listen, he just did some numbers in his last fight against, Jose Benavidez Jr., who's actually going to be fighting at 160 against Jermall Charlo on that David Benavidez and Demetrius Andre undercard for their November 25th fight. Oh, man, it's a lot of them. Hey, yo, 23 been crazy. I hope 24 is on point, man. Flawless Mentality in the chat, he says, Uncle Mark says he's going to put a cleft in Tim's chin. Word. Gosh almighty. Mark Tabor in the chat, he says, Tim to drop him with a body shot in round 7 and then finish him off in round 8. Wow. Sound a little close like how I got it. I think he pours it on in round 6 and probably gets him out of there in round 7. All right. I don't think it goes past 7 with either one of these guys, but I'm definitely taking Tim Tszyu by stoppage. All right. Anybody else want to call in, man? Let me know your thoughts. And looking at the landscape of 54, man, I really like 54. And now with more than likely Bud Crawford and Errol Spence probably not returning in the rematch to 47. Not sure what Bud's going to do. I think he's selling himself a little short, man, because he already said he's not fighting Keith Thurman or Danny Garcia. You don't want to fight Boots. That's not a big enough check. There's really nobody left at 47 who could really put on unless it was a Keith Thurman, but he said he's not fighting Keith Thurman. It would make a lot of sense if Tim Tszyu defends versus a Brian Mendoza, or if a Brian Mendoza just happens to win, for Bud Crawford to go after the WBO scrap, and then maybe position himself against a Jermell Charlo. But I still wouldn't sleep on Tim Tszyu in none of these in none of these scenarios, bro. I wouldn't sleep on Tszyu at all. But that just makes 54 crazy interesting. You know what I mean? And when the dust settle, when it's all said and done, like who's going to be? Because I feel like you're going to definitely get another undisputed champion at 54. But when the dust settles, who will it be? Now I know a lot of my Australian, followers, y'all definitely probably think it's going to be Tim Tszyu. But then you got a Bud Crawford who seems adamant about becoming 3 times undisputed. Can you imagine that, bro? 3 times undisputed? That's crazy. Like, if Bud Crawford becomes 3 times undisputed, he's got to start passing a lot of your favorite fighters on the all-time fighters on the all-time list. And he'll be stuck at pound for pound number 1 on my list as long as he's active. That ain't no fluctuating shit. You know what I mean? He's already a first ballot. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to even fathom what the man says that he's trying to do. But then you could have a resurgence of a Jermell Charlo. You know, he could be 2 times undisputed at 54. You know, or you got Tim Tszyu who could come and take over everything. You know what I mean? Or you got an underdog that could slide under the radar like a Mendoza. It's just a lot of shit going on, man. You know what I mean? Punch Drunk in a building. He said the email champ 2.0. Tim Tszyu going to sleep. Oh wow. He said Tim Tszyu going to sleep. he going to sleep tomorrow. He might go to sleep tonight. Cornelius Burnett in the building. Shout out my guy Cornelius Burnett, man, wrenched up. Said Steven Espinoza said that the boots in Crawford was big. What? When didn't he say that shit? I don't think he meant it, cause they already got at Espinoza about trying to do the fight. As far as I have, for one reason or another, they couldn't get that fight done. Maybe it was Crawford, and I think for Crawford it just wasn't a big enough fight. I think it's a big enough fight. But here's the thing: if Showtime and Espinoza willing to pay Bud, he'll do it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't think Bud give a damn how much money they make, long as his check is in place. I believe he'll do it. Now, that is the fight that makes all the sense in the world. Like, if you're a hardcore boxing fan and you want to continue to believe in the ranking system, and you look at a Boots Ennis who's over 30 fights, who still hasn't had his opportunity, and you look at a lot of the greats who became champions, less than 30 fights, 22 fights, 23 fights, 21 fights. You got Boots over 30 fights, still hasn't had opportunity. So, and I think the consensus is, once Bud and Earl Spence is all the way out of the division, it's most definitely his to reign over. But if he can get one of them in the ring, if he does get a shot at Bud, I wouldn't be mad at it, man. The guys. What else do you want the guy to do? Can't force these guys to fight. Keith Thurman, he straight up ducked him. You know what I mean? Bozy made that clear. So I feel you. Dante Hall Boxing in the building. What up, boy? Shout out Dante Hall Boxing, man. He said, I don't know who Crawford want to fight. He don't want to fight Charlo, Thurman, Garcia, or Boots. And you can't wait on Canelo. He do what he want. And Bud 36 don't have time to wait. Facts. Absolutely. That's why I say it's almost like he shot himself in the foot, because he already said he didn't want to fight certain guys. Said Boots wasn't big enough. But let's remember what Bud said now. He and I think he meant this shit. He said he's reached a place where he feels like he wants to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. And he doesn't care what anybody says. So I truly believe that. I don't think none of us, I don't think the fan base or the media, new media, old media, anybody can pressure him into doing a fight that he doesn't want to do. He looking for the big bag. And when you really look at it, it's nobody out there but Canelo and he said 3 times undisputed. So if Canelo's not going to give him a shot next, he's got to position himself to be undisputed again if that's what he actually wants to do. So that's going to either be the fight the winner of Tzsyu and Brian Mendoza, or fight Jermell Charlo. Get those belts and be in position to fight the winner of Tzsyu and Brian Mendoza. So to me, I see it kind of clear for Bud Crawford. I still don't believe that this rematch with Spence happens. Maybe it does, but I just don't think so. I've been saying it don't make sense. But if somehow, some way they pull it out, or he could do the Earls. Listen, for Bud Crawford right now, it's money and legacy. Money, 3 times undisputed. So maybe he does it again with Earl Spence, and he just realized, fuck it, man, it's a bag. They willing to pay me. But according to a lot of sources, Showtime is a little bit reluctant to kind of put that money up for their rematch. It did between 650 to 675,000 pay-per-view buys. For the most anticipated fight in boxing, I still thought, that was a little bit low. Still really successful, but when you take in account what they paid for to put this event on, Bud and Spence both making around $25 million apiece. A lot of money went into getting this fight done. And off the pay-per-views alone, it brought back $55 million around that money. So I don't think it was a big enough profit margin for them to really consider doing this rematch without paying these guys significantly less. And I think that's going to be a problem come negotiations. And more than likely, this fight probably doesn't happen. At least that's how I feel. That's my 2 cents on that. Punch Drunk say, I like to see Bud give Boots a boxing spanking. Boy, a lot of us would love to see that fight. I don't know if it'll be the type of spank. Listen, I can promise you this one thing. It will not be Errol Spence fight again. He will not look like he did versus Errol Spence. Love Bud to life. You know what I mean? He's a great champion. Did his thing versus Spence. This is most definitely the Bud Crawford era, but you will not spank. Maybe he wins that fight against Boots, you know what I mean? But he will not dominate in that fashion. I can promise you that, you know what I mean? That will not be a dominant performance. This would be a fight with an old fella at 36 years old. Boots, you got to understand, Boots about a decade younger than brother, bro. he got some gas in that tank. Don't think it's a dominant performance. Does he win? Maybe, probably, you know, just because of the experience. When it's fights that close, I like to lean towards the experience. But I don't think Boots lays down at all, and he could very well shake up the world if they do make that fight. Cornelius Burnett said, that's why I think Steven said it was big, because they were cutting the check. Thanks for the absolutely, bro. Yeah. It's definitely now it's big if they willing to put up the money for it. Absolutely, it's big because again, Showtime know what they've been doing. They've been doing this for 37 years. You know what I mean? They done outlasted them all. Matter of fact, they, really like one of the last OGs left. Outside of ESPN, which is a sports channel, which ain't never going nowhere more than likely. When it comes to boxing. But they've been doing it a long time. And they know how to gauge these things. You know what I mean? They know how to assess the situation. They know how to check the temperature, so to speak. They understand that it's a hard sell to repackage that ass whipping that Bud Crawford gave Errol Spence, make it all nice and shiny and put a bow on it, and then try and give it to us and say, hey, man, let me get that $85 again. That's a tough sell. So, but for Boots, I think so. I think Bud would be willing to take half the money and be like, yo, all right, cool, I'm with that. Give me $10 million to fight the young boy. I get it. Punch Drunk say, what's good, Till? We doing a watch party tonight? Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, you guys can check me and Punch Drunk out tonight. We're going to do a watch party. Since my guy want to do a watch party, we're going to do a watch party. I ain't got shit to do, man. I'm going to go in here. My wife cooked me some spaghetti, and I'm going to eat this spaghetti and whatnot, chill, man, and kick it. You know what I mean? Watch the fight. Dante Hall in the chat, he said, I know Charlo performance won't good, but I still want Mel versus Bud. Hey, me too, bro. Me too. I think, I still think that's a good matchup. You know what I mean? I would like to see Bud, versus Mel. I think anybody does better than Errol Spence did. You know what I mean? I always like to say styles make fights, man. The reason why it was such a disparity in that Bud versus Spence fight, and I swear I said this leading up to the fight. Y'all go back and check, bro. I felt like, even though I felt it was a 50-50 fight, I leaned towards Bud. Of course, I picked Bud to win this fight, but I thought Errol Spence's style was tailor-made. I don't necessarily feel that way about a Charlo, especially how he explodes out of certain positions with shots. With Errol Spence, man, it's the timing was there to be read. Bud seen everything coming from Spence. So I felt like it started slowing down and getting easier and easier. I don't know if he can time Jermell Charlo that well, because I do believe he explodes out of certain postures with that left hand that makes it kind of difficult to time him all of the time, and most definitely has better footwork than Errol Spence. You know what I mean? So styles make fights, and Errol Spence was just a bad style. I think Jermell Charlo's a better style for Bud Crawford. But does Bud win? I still take Bud to win. And it'll probably be by unanimous decision if he doesn't knock him out. I got to be honest, I don't think Spence knocks out Jermell Charlo. I don't think if Canelo couldn't do it, I don't think Bud can do it. Dante Hall says, I think Boots too fresh for Bud. I think Crawford should stay with the dudes in his era. I think 26 years old energy might be different. Facts, man. That's a decade, bro. That's a decade, man. And listen, I'm 40. I ain't saying I can't whip a 30-year-old. But, past 10, 15 minutes, I'm probably going to be out of breath. Well, probably way before then. And that's when he can commence to whooping my ass. And then I got to shoot him. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing in the sport of boxing. And listen, of course, Bud is a superior athlete. You know what I mean? Crazy conditioning. But Father Time is undefeated. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit more surge in them young fellas at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's hard to negate that factor in a fight when you fighting a guy 10 years younger than you. Again, not to say that Bud don't just completely wash Boots. It'll never look like Errol Spence, but he could shut him out. You know what I mean? Or he could make it 9 rounds to 4 or some shit like that. Or 9 rounds to 3, 10 rounds to 2. It could be something like that. I doubt it. But man, the youth, the size, the speed, the power of Boots, I don't know, man. I'm with you, bro. I think he causes all kind of troubles for Bud Crawford. And to be honest, even though I would pick Bud, I wouldn't be surprised if Boots wins. I just wouldn't be surprised. I'm telling you. All right, man. Anybody want to call in the show? Call in the show. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you got in this Tzsyu Brian Mendoza fight? Would love to hear your prediction for this fight. I gave you mine. I told you Tzsyu in 7. I think he does get the 7-round stoppage of a Brian Mendoza. I think it's just too much dynamite in the hands of both of these fighters for this fight to go all 12 rounds. But I do think Tzsyu may be able to outthink Brian Mendoza early on the front foot, cutting off the ring, land something significant, and gets the stoppage in the 7th round. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me your thoughts. Call into the show. Dante Hall Boxing Talk. He said, we 757. I am ready for the Keyshawn fight. Youngin fight. Yeah. Who he's fighting? Nair Albright tonight. Make sure y'all check that out on ESPN on the Janabek co-main event. My guy Keyshawn Davis. I'm gonna get him up on the wall. As soon as my guy get a title, you can't go on this wall if you ain't no goddamn champion. But I rocks with him. And listen, I don't really like to throw around the word biased. You know what I mean? Because I get a lot of comments from a lot of people, and they say, man, I started watching your channel because you'll pick Mexicans, you'll pick Japanese. It don't matter. You unbiased. I am, bro. And I think I'm hardwired that way. Why? Because I think all of these fighters deserve to be judged according to what they do inside the ring. It take a lot of heart from anybody, all walks of life. If you ain't in shape and ready to go and you get in there, it don't matter what race he is. If he ready to go, he gonna whoop your ass. So, I fucks with everybody. But I'm biased when it come to Keyshawn. I'm biased as hell, nigga. Yeah. He out my backyard, man. Shout out Norfolk, Peace City 757. You know what I mean? Everybody. I'm out the news right now. Hampton, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, everybody, man. He from my neck of the woods. I feel like Keyshawn, like how you feel about your favorite fighter. I'm biased, nigga. You know what I mean? I'm taking Keyshawn every time. And I can't wait till they let him off the leash. Because if you look at his 9 fights and you put him against his first 9 fights against your favorite fighter first 9 fights, it's night and day. It's a wash. You know what I'm saying? I think 10 fights in now, he need to be seeing the likes of some of these other really good prospects like a Floyd Schofield, Kid Austin, you might know him by. that new nigga that just came in that beat my boy in the Olympics, Andy Cruz. He need that get back. Definitely set that one up. Or Frank Martin. You know what I mean? I really would love to see Keyshawn versus Frank Martin. It's time to take him off the leash, bro. Now, I know a lot of people probably feel like, man, give him some more fights. Give him for what? For what, man? At 24 years old, Keyshawn ready, bro. You know what I mean? Step up that competition, man. I don't want to see him against no Nair Albright. We already know what's gonna happen in the night. He gonna fuck Albright up tonight, man. Let's be real. My guy, Boston, what do you say, Dante? No doubt I am about Keyshawn like the Haney maniacs are about him. For sure, man. He out our backyard, man. You know, I'm biased when it come to Keyshawn. Now, anybody else, but them DB3 boys, I rock with them DB3 boys, man. They out my backyard. All right, I'm about to go ahead dinner, man. Since somebody calling, man, I'm about to get up out of here, man. I sure appreciate y'all for coming in here, rocking with your boy. Make sure y'all hit that super chat. Send a nigga $1, man. Super thanks. You know what I mean? If you rock with the show, you rock with your boy. And shout out my guy, Tyrese Celestin, man. Big salute. He always supporting your boy, man. I'm just happy that a few of y'all are truly entertained by the channel, man, and you've been rocking with your boy, and you appreciate the talk that I be giving you on this boxing stuff, man. Listen, I got a big passion for it. I love it. You know what I mean? I love talking about it. I be wanting y'all to engage and talk with me about it. I be learning from y'all. Y'all be learning from me. It's a give situation, win-win situation. And I appreciate that love. So big shout out to Tyrese Celestine, man. Cornelius, I appreciate you, man. Punch Drunk, you already know the count. Dante, man. Everybody in the chat, much, much, much love. Tim Zoo, watch party tonight, man. Me and Punch Drunk. Hopefully we can get Sean Don in there as well. So check me out tonight. And we're going to do it for, of course, the Tim Zoo main event joint. I ain't gonna front, man. I ain't really interested. I'm gonna watch this part of this Janet Beck fight, man, but I ain't really. This top rank card ain't shit, man. If Keyshawn won't on it. Some of this shit I watch the highlights and pay attention, but I'm not really excited for Janet Beck. Even though I think Janet Beck is cool, didn't really like how he looked in his last couple fights though, for real. All right, that's all I got for y'all on this one, man. Big TL Heavy Bag. I appreciate y'all, man. You know who I got with me, right? He's a legend. He don't get half the credit that he should have gotten as a trainer. And he know y'all. Just like I feel like I know y'all. I mean, I don't know y'all, but I know y'all. But he know y'all too. He don't like half of you niggas. And I don't like the other half. Talk to him, Roger.
Most motherfuckers don't know shit about